Hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk ʻbrædɛbɛri. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, please do. We recently hit 3,500 and I'm looking forward to hitting 4,000 before the end of the year. So, here on Let's Talk ʻbrædɛbɛri, I've been slowly working through the collection, These Stories of Bradbury. Today I'm up to story number 87 of 100, which is the October game from 1948. The way these reviews work is I give you a quick synopsis of all the action of the story and then wrap up with sort of thoughts and things about what it all means to me and sort of why it's relevant in the big picture of the universe. So, synopsis. Mitch Wilder puts his gun back into the drawer. He wants to kill his wife, Louise. However, he decides that killing a gun would be too easy and would not give her the amount of suffering he wishes to inflict upon her. It's Halloween. 8-year-old Marion, their only child, their daughter, is running around in her costume. Meanwhile, Mitch has sort of been quietly stalking Louise, his wife, around the house all day while she's put up the decorations for the coming party, and really somehow they manage to always be in different rooms, like she's one step ahead of him. But Mitch has had enough. Louise didn't want to have a child at all, but he wanted a boy, so he jokingly sort of suggests that he thinks that she conspired to asexually create a daughter just to piss him off, which is, of course, ridiculous. But he desperately wants to hurt her, and he decides that divorce, too, would be too easy, so he has to come up with a plan. So, Halloween evening arrives. The party begins. 20 kids, roughly, show up along with some of their parents, and they have all their fun, all the traditional holiday or Halloween games, bobbing for apples, and whatnot. But the party's coming to the close. It's the end of the night, and Mitch leads all the children and their parents down to the basement and sits them down in chairs in pitch blackness. Then he begins to pass things around the room. He says, "The witch is dead. This is her head. And here are her entrails." And the kids are pretty savvy. They don't believe it. One of the boys sort of talks out in the darkness, "Oh, I've played this game before. Now you're going to pass around some chicken guts or something," which is ridiculous, and tell me that it's her entrails. Eventually, Louise realizes that Marion is missing, and she gets pretty distraught. Mitch says, "I got it," and he goes up the stairs, and I'm going to find her. And he goes outside, runs around the house like 4 times, calling her name very enthusiastically, very hopefully. He can't find her, he says, as he comes back down the stairs. And at that point, he says, "Some idiot turned on the lights." And we get a cliffhanger, sort of unresolved ending. So, Bradbury wrote many of these Halloween tales. They're typically pretty fun, but also he has a way of having this sort of darker undercurrent. Here, the darker undercurrent is sort of worn on up front, which is less typical of him. I think he usually hides these things, and there's darkness, but it's more of an undercurrent versus this, where it's pretty obvious that this is a man who wants to kill his wife, and it's no joke. As he often does, Bradbury takes a cliche, in this case, a very standard Halloween fun game, and sort of uses it as his own device for telling a darker story. And I think that works well here. This very silly, obviously very old game of the parts of the dead body, the witch. And I didn't really know that the game was that old. Apparently it is. Maybe it's much older than 1948. But, the ending is ambiguous, which I like. Bradbury also does that quite often, where you don't quite know what happened. We're led to believe that he, in fact, cut up his daughter Marion, just despite his wife. I'm not sure if that's true or not. He would have had to have been cutting her up while they were down there, and of course there was no screaming, so that's that little inconsistency. But it's still a lot of fun, and it's still pretty dark and a pretty messed up way of getting revenge on your ex. But one last point, running through this story is Mitch is sort of dreading another coming winter. He basically says that this winter will never end. And he talks about, the 8 past winters being cooped up in the house without any sort of relief because, it's too cold to do anything, and sort of during those times, his relationship with his family has festered, and he sees this sort of being the last result of that. And I think, this is a really real thing. They talk about seasonal affect disorder and people getting depressed in the winter from lack of vitamin C and things like that. But in a lot of places, you do get kind of cut off from a lot of activities. And here in our own world, it's been all the more relevant sort of because of the pandemic. 2020, 2021 especially. Here we are now in the beginning of 2023, and it's still a bit of an issue for a lot of us. And I think what's interesting is how when we are cut off from people and from world and sort of trapped with each other for long, cold winter months, it does over time twist you. And I don't think that Mitch started out as a evil person, nor Louise, who was obviously goading him quite a bit and sort of egging him on and trying to torment him as well. But I think that comes from this sort of isolation and just being cooped up together and sort of feeling over time like you have no means of escape, and it sort of twists your intentions, and that leads to, in this case, possibly murdering your own daughter, who you didn't want and who the mother didn't want either. So it'd be interesting to see how Louise handles it. All right, that is the October game from 1948. Tune in tomorrow when we take a look at Punishment Without Crime from 1950, which is story number 88 of 100 in the Stories of Ray Bradbury. Yeah, we're about to crack the final 10 in this collection, so I hope that you will subscribe and return tomorrow and join me as I wrap up this project. See you later.